Thanks, Akash. Yeah, very excited about this. Getting feedback, perspectives, and hearing from contractor experience, I think is going to be super beneficial for everyone involved. I think to start off, just some quick introductions for our participants today in this roundtable would be great. We have Vikram, Jennifer, and Ashish who are joining us today. If it's okay with you guys, maybe we start with Vikram, if you don't mind giving us your name, where you're operating from, your business, how many years you've been in business, and maybe how big's your operation, how many routes you're approximately running, and then we'll go from Vikram to Jennifer and then to Ashish.
All right, guys, nice to meet you. Vikram here. I am a contractor in California's Bay Area district, specifically in operating out of the Tracy terminal. I became a contractor towards the end of 2017, so not too long ago. And on any given day, volumes are kind of down, but we dispatch, let's say close to 40 routes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Jennifer, do you mind giving us a quick intro?
Yes, my name's Jennifer. I work out of Arizona, the Chandler terminal. We just purchased from our contractor back in December, but we've been with our contractor for the past 7 years. And we're still getting the hang of it. We're actually just upped to about 12 routes right now. So.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. And then Ashish.
Hey guys, yes, I'm a contractor since 2019. Work out of two terminals, West Palm Beach, Florida, and Tampa. Collectively, we probably dispatch between 30 to 40 routes on any given day. And okay. I have about 50 or so trucks in the fleet.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for that. It's a great roundtable. We have a diverse group with different sizes and different geographic areas. Once again, thank you guys for participating today. The topic of today, like Akash mentioned, we wanted to focus on metals and efficiency for your guys' operations. So I have a series of questions to kind of kick off this discussion, and I'll prompt individuals to answer the questions, but obviously feel free to chime in, with if you want to jump in, if you have a thought or whatnot as we go through this. So the first question revolves around the metal tiers. Rather than getting in, what metal tier you are currently on, more I want to ask about how transparent is it to you guys as contractors, what metal tier you are on. Is that easily accessible information? Do you find it transparent on your end? So I wanted to get a little bit of a perspective around that. Maybe Vikram, can you start us off?
Yeah, so actually my answer is going to be pretty short because I don't know what metal tier I am in, and I think it's just purely based on the fact being in the Bay Area district, that hasn't been rolled out to us yet. So I'm expecting to be in an ISP forum pretty soon, maybe next week or next couple of weeks, where they will actually inform us what that metal breakdown looks like and where do I personally fall in that. So
okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Jennifer.
Yes, so ours is pretty short as well. They have mentioned the metal tiers, but not have gone into detail on it. So we have no idea what our tier level is just yet. When asked questions, they say they're still getting information. So the terminal is not completely aware of all the details of it as well. So.
Okay. And then Ashish.
Yes, hi. I at one of our stations what metal I'm in, but not at the other. In terms of transparency, I think I'm kind of where Vikram and Jennifer are. I have an idea of what makes up the metal, but when I did get the breakdown, you really don't have any idea on what the algorithm is to calculate the metal. So for certain things that were pulling down my metals, I was actually shocked that small things are dropping the metal so significantly. Whereas in the past it wouldn't be the case at all. I mean, I wouldn't have BRM meeting on certain things just because it was so insignificant. But those insignificant things are dropping me from one metal to the other. So it did surprise me, and I do hope to get a lot more transparency to be able to make the adjustments.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Maybe a follow-up question to that, Ashish. What would you say from your current understanding are the key factors that are influencing the metal tier for you? And maybe you answer that, it's a little unclear, but I guess from your perspective, what would you say those are?
So the things that I know that affected us: inbound service, pickup service, and there was one other one: inbound, pickup, and I don't recall the third one. It might have been safety, but I'm not sure. But for the first two, it was surprising that even though they were in the 99%, it was still marked as an area of opportunity. Pickup as a ratio, missed or late pickup as a ratio of total pickups, it is quite a strong indicator on dropping metals, which kind of surprised me. So maybe a couple of missed pickups, you might be doing 1,000 a month, but if you missed one or two, that could drop a metal as well. That could affect your metal count as well. So some of those things specifically were a bit surprising.
Yeah, and if I can just chime in.
Yeah.
I mean, this hasn't been, like I said, mentioned earlier, this hasn't been rolled out to us, but I do know is what are the three main buckets, right? First one is service, as Ashish mentioned. The other one is safety, and the third one is customer service, right? So what do you mean by service? Is your local inbound or ILS, essentially tracking how many successful deliveries versus non-successful deliveries you've had. Pickups, any issues with those, right? Could be early, missed, or late pickups. And the other component, which is very new, is dispatch efficiency, right? Again, we don't know what dispatch, well, we do know what dispatch efficiency is, but how is that defined and what does it look like? We don't know, right? I mean, it could be just a ratio of how many stops per route, right? How many stops on average are your routes doing, right? It could be that, but this is a new one. Safety, again, pretty straightforward. Is going to include your accidents, your HOS or hours of service violations, which typically not a big deal unless, around peak. Any breaches resulting in a non-assignment of a service provider personnel. These are typically your, driver disqualification, right? Could be from a failed drug test, right? Or, integrity issues around scanning, signatures. The other ones around safety are roadside inspections and the weather KIs. And weather KIs, we know, as a matter of fact, are also changing in June, becoming more event-based rather than, the 4s that we have currently. And of course, the last one, customer service or customer experience. The only thing I can think of are essentially chargeable complaints. So in a nutshell, those are your major buckets and what segments make them up. But like I said earlier, how do you normalize them? What weight is assigned to what category? I mean, that's an unknown, at least for some of us.
So it sounds like there's some specificity around the buckets or the inputs, if you will, but yeah, the weight behind some of these metrics or maybe the algorithm itself, a little bit more ambiguous. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Okay. And I guess maybe just in general, what's the overall sentiment to the metal system, the metal tier system? Do you feel like it's being received well? Do you think that in theory it could be a good metric for ISPs to track and follow and to gauge where they're currently at? I'll open this up to all three of you if any of you have a thought there.
I'll jump in. This is Ashish. I think overall, I like the whole metric-driven model. It gives me, I think, targets to achieve. So I actually love it. What I would like to see is, as all of us have been discussing, is really to be able to get more insights. If I need to spend extra resources on a certain part, either it's on the roadside inspection piece of safety, or if it's the pickup side of customer service as opposed to inbound. If I have that data, it really helps me move things around to get to those targets. But overall, I love it. I just like to get a little more data to be so that it can become more actionable.
Great. Okay, perfect. No, I appreciate that, the feedback there. Let's and a follow-up question to that would also be there's been several rollouts, right, over the years, safety, train the trainer, vetter. I know you guys have been in the industry through some of these or all of them. How does this metal tier system compare or contrast between some of these other initiatives or rollouts that have come down the pipeline in the past? Jennifer, I know you've recently taken over this contract, but you've been in the industry for quite some time now. Can you speak to that at all, and how this rollout differs or is similar to what you've seen in the past?
I think with this it's similar to a lot of the other rollouts where we get the initial information, but then it takes them a while to get our the bulk of it in there, like all the information and stuff that goes with it. Like last year with the Train the Trainer program and everything, we were very quick to get our drivers in there to get trained and everything like that. But now that we're after peak, they're coming back with, well, we've made changes, you need to get this done, that done, and everything like that. So now they're coming up with more information that's needed for those programs where they were just trying to rush it and get them started. And now we're trying to get to that point of actually getting all the information and that we needed to do with those programs. So I feel like that's kind of the same with this, is that we're being told about the metals program, but they don't have all the information in to give to us. So being able to understand what each thing is going to affect us so that we can improve on that would be better. So if they know it, then they could tell us and everything like that. That whole transparency thing of being able to understand, how is this going to be rated? Like he said with his pickups, if you miss one pickup out of 1,000, it could drop you a whole tier. How do we, improve on that, or, get just better transparency with all of that?
Okay, excellent. Vikram, Ashish, would you agree with that as well?
Oh, yes. I mean, I agree, right? Just with any program that has been rolled out, whether it's, around efficiency, right? When DRO was first rolled out for safety, train the trainer, there are going to be hiccups, right? And some of them are just purely communication based, right? What gets, rolled down from Pittsburgh sometimes, doesn't really make it to your local station, in time, or they might not be able to get you the right answers, right? But also what I've, noticed the last, few years is it takes some time to recalibrate things, right? Meaning, for example, a pickup that might drop you one tier, right, is going to have that, level of consequence, which is going to impact, let's say majority of the folks maybe ending up in the bronze level, right? So I'm pretty confident that FedEx will actually, take those initiatives to maybe, do some sort of recalibration. They're doing it for better, for example, right? The 4KIs are being updated, in June of this year. So in that sense, yeah, I mean, just like anything that is getting rolled out, is going to have its challenges, but I mean, I'm confident that in due time, things will get ironed out.
Yeah, it seems from what I'm gathering here that this seems similar or kind of parallels some of these other rollouts in the sense that kind of announcement and staging it across different geographic territories or whatnot. But it seems like there's still some components of it that are being fleshed out as it moves through.
Yep. Yeah, quick point here. Like, I think all of us are moving along the same direction, talking about how it could be very useful to have more transparency. This could be a great step for all of us to improve our businesses, to improve our efficiency. And it looks like efficiency is like a word that's being used a lot right now. I think there'll be more clarity on what exactly efficiency is, what is the algorithm, like Ashish mentioned, that goes behind calculating efficiency. Just my personal 2 cents that it's a good time to talk about efficiency. The markets are tough. It is in general, as business owners, a little tough to do business right now, post-COVID. During COVID, whatever you do, you will get more volume, you will earn more money. It was great. You couldn't do anything wrong as a business owner. Now, post-COVID, it almost has flipped on us. You can't do anything right as a business owner, right? So coming from the top, talking about efficiency, I feel is a good time. And again, to echo what everyone else said, if there is a little bit more clarity, which we hope will come in the times to come, it can only help improve some of the existing businesses who are constantly striving to finding more ways to be efficient, finding more ways to be profitable, and finding more ways to be safer every single day.
Yeah, it seems like transparency. I mean, all the metrics that are being tracked are from a contractor's perspective are the things that you want to be aware of with your operation. These are things that you should, to be operating as efficient as possible, be very aware of it. So I think the overall idea and sentiment is very powerful. And then, yeah, with additional transparency to understand how it's weighted, we'll hopefully have a trickle down effect to actual more efficiencies in the bottom line from an ISP's perspective. With that being said, let's pivot a little bit now that we are talking about efficiencies. I want to get your guys' perspective in relation to kind of the business environment as a whole, economically right now, and then specifically in our industry. What do your guys' plans look like for the next 6 months? Are you guys in scale up mode, scale down mode, more like cut cost, or aggressively expand, looking at purchasing new contracts? I'd love to get your 3 perspective on where you're currently at with your operation and what your plans look like. Maybe Vikram, do you want to start us off with that?
Oh yeah, I can kick things off. So I mean, that's a good question, right? There's definitely a lot of uncertainty, right? Just generally, macroeconomic conditions. On the business side of things, right? Freight volume, we've seen it, the last few quarters just, trending down. Right? It's nothing compared to what we had, when COVID first started, right? And that's also when we started ramping up, essentially building more capacity, right? For us, it's, purchasing more vehicles, right? Hiring more drivers. And on the FedEx side, it's, expanding capital expenditure, right? Having more buildings, right? So all that, I think we are seeing a slowdown. On my part, personally, it's more of a wait and watch, situation where we are definitely not thinking of expanding right now beyond our current footprint. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's a great perspective. Jennifer, how about you and your operation?
With our operations, we're keeping pretty steady right now. We have plenty of trucks right now. We are looking to maybe purchase another one before peak, just so that we have a larger truck, get downsizing some of our little 12-foot box trucks or, our P700s into the 1200s, just to get that capacity in there in the trucks and be more efficient. As far as our area goes, I know that there's been talk of the numbers dropping and going back to pre-COVID numbers. In our service area that we have a lot of new builds right now. I'm hoping that that'll kind of help with all of that, with getting a lot of new businesses and apartments and everything like that in our service area. So we're just kind of doing the same thing. We're just kind of staying steady right now, just trying to stay with that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So a little bit of maintenance, almost echoing a little bit what Vikram said, a kind of a wait and watch perspective. Okay. And then Ashish, you mind giving us an idea of where you're at?
Sure. So I think I'd like to echo what Vikram and Jennifer had to say. We do see volume come down a little bit. For me, especially, it's hard to make an apple-to-apple comparison just because the territory has changed. We've gone from ground only or home only to overlap. So it's a little bit of a difficult gauge. But the sentiment is that the volume does appear to be, a little lighter. As far as expansion is concerned, I think the expansion mode is definitely not as aggressive, probably on hold compared to what we were a couple of years ago. Couple of reasons. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. Interest rates are not what they used to be. If acquisitions were going to be financed, there would be uncertainty with the metals program and how that would affect contract renewal or just ongoing operations. There's also uncertainty about new agreements and new contracts that will come up for renewal. What would the numbers look like on those with a fixed and variable drop? Do they stay the same? There is a little bit of anxiety, I must admit, around some of those things. So with that in mind, I think 2023 and 2024 will be a testing year for us.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of variables that are going into these type of decisions. I understand that. And there is uncertainty around the current economic environment, but then even within the industry, it is interesting to see some contractors exiting, which again, one of these variables is with contracts opening up and whatnot. How does that play into expansion or downsizing? Appreciate your guys' perspective on that. On that same note, in terms of operationally, kind of your day-to-day efficiencies, do you mind giving us some insight on what your HR, staffing, and your hiring operation looks like? Are you guys finding that to be relatively consistent to previous months or last year? Or is retention of drivers a difficulty, or how does that compare to past experience? Maybe Jennifer, could you kick us off with that question?
Yeah, so right now, we have a lot smaller routes than the other two right now. So it's just me and my husband running the company and everything like that. We are starting to look at getting another BC in place and everything, but at the moment I do all the paperwork, the hiring, all that information and stuff like that. As far as our drivers go and stuff like that, we've kept pretty steady. since peak. We haven't had to really let anybody go. Our numbers have stayed pretty steady, so that's kind of worked for us with the fact that this is the time of year when all of our guys know that now they can start taking their vacations since they weren't able to during peak and everything like that. So it's kind of helped out with anything that has slowed down, especially like weekend deliveries or anything. We can be able to cover everything pretty good. So.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Now getting into kind of a slightly larger operation, Ashish, how has it been for you in terms of churn or retention?
The churn has been the same. I haven't noticed a big difference on the churn side. Churn and retention, I kind of look at it with the same set of eyes. I have found hiring to be a little bit easier than it was last year. We're able to get, I think, more candidates through the system, more people showing up for interviews than they used to. I'd like to see that continue for 6 months to know it's just not a one-off, and it's something that's actually really happening. Payroll costs have really jumped up since second half of last year. So we might start looking at that a little more carefully on on the higher paid drivers and on the efficiency side. So that's my little 2 cents on the payroll and HR side.
No, that's great. That's very good perspective. Vikram, do you have anything to add here?
I mean, to echo to what she just mentioned, yeah, it's very similar across the board, right? Very similar patterns for driver churn and retention. Recruiting has become a little bit easier. When I say that, comparing it to the baseline, not baseline, but what happened during COVID, right? It was very, very difficult to source folks. It's just generally, we were still getting used to that environment, but that has become a little bit easier, meaning the ad spends, that we were doing on, for example, Indeed, like that have gone down. But unemployment, is still pretty low, right? But overall, I think we are trending in the right direction. And hopefully, when we start, planning for peak, we just, got done with peak, but I'm hoping the trends at least stays similar or gets better, because those could be very challenging times.
Right. That's obviously the most difficult hiring time is coming around peak. So it is nice to see a slight shift in terms of it's a little bit more of a employer's market in that regard, heading into the kind of this Q2 of the year. I once again appreciate your guys' input here. It's very valuable. I think we have basically one more question. We'll kind of wrap this up. Are you for your 3 operations? Have you thought about diversifying, or maybe you currently are, in terms of, do you have businesses outside of being a FedEx ISP? And if not, are you potentially looking for other opportunities, or is the FedEx world your primary focus? Maybe Ashish, could you start us off there?
Sure. Yes, I do have businesses outside FedEx, but the FedEx businesses make up the major part of my portfolio. I honestly should be, but I am not actively looking for opportunities. But my eyes and ears are always open. Maybe as time lapse, as time goes on, I will be a little more aggressive in looking for opportunities. But right now, it's a little bit of a wait and hold with the economy the way it is.
Okay, I understand that. And do you mind just speaking just a little bit more when you say maybe you should be? Is there a particular reason that you feel that should be the case?
Yes, there is I think there's a lot going on. I have too many eggs in one basket. So you always want to diversify your portfolio, so that if things don't work out in one portfolio, at least you have another one to lean on. So it's prudent to kind of weigh that risk out, for the long term.
Great. Yeah, that makes sense. How about you, Jennifer?
With us just purchasing right now, FedEx is our only business. We are just looking to get it stable, get through the first year, and see how we kind of go from there and get our footing in and stuff like that. Maybe, down the line and stuff like that, do the same thing, look at, backup, opportunities and stuff like that as well. Like he said, don't put all your eggs in one basket type thing. So it's something to definitely look at later on down the line. But for right now, with us just starting out, this is our main concern, and just trying to make sure we survive that first year. So.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, appreciate that perspective. And then Vikram.
Not really looking at other opportunities. I mean, between FedEx and also working at Beans, I think that doesn't really leave a lot of free time to explore other opportunities. But yeah, I mean, my recommendation to folks who are 100% focused on FedEx is, have a game plan, right, for the future.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a great perspective. Obviously, Vikram and Ashish hit on that as well. And Jennifer, diversifying the portfolio is in general always a good idea. But I think for this roundtable, I think that's going to take us to the end. Once again, appreciate your guys' participation here, and your experience and your feedback is I've learned a lot being able to listen to you through this. But I know it's going to be very valuable to other contractors or anyone else in the space that's either looking to get into it or maybe exiting or expanding and whatnot. So once again, thank you guys for the participation.